Have you ever watched TV or even been on the internet? Because if you have, you've probably heard of Avatar: The Last Airbender, one of the most influential shows in all of Western animation, and it's been available to stream on Netflix for 5 full years now. But did you know that 2 years before that, Netflix tried making their own Avatar? Kind of. The head writer of Avatar, Aaron Ehasz, teamed up with Justin Richmond, the director of the second and third Uncharted games, to create their own show called The Dragon Prince. From 2018 to 2019, they released 3 full seasons of the show, and it was actually really good. But after that, they kept making more seasons, and the seasons got pretty bad. If you've never seen The Dragon Prince, it's the flagship show for the production and animation company Wonderstorm, also created by Ehasz and Richmond. It takes place in the magical realm of Zadia, that is ruled by dragons and elves, who have magic relating to a bunch of different things in nature, like the sun, moon, stars, sky, ocean, and the earth. Humans don't have any magic, and they got jealous, so they created their own magic, called dark magic, that they made by sucking the life force out of living things. The dragons and elves were, well, horrified by this, so they drove the humans west, out of Zadia. The first 3 seasons of the show take place in the human kingdom of Katalis, that is run by the king Harrow, who's a pretty big fan of Manifest Destiny, so he takes a big group out into Zadia to conquer it for themselves, but all that succeeds in is getting his wife killed. In an act of revenge, Harrow and his dark mage advisor Viren go into Zadia and kill the king of the dragons, and destroy the egg to the king's only heir, the Dragon Prince. In another act of revenge, the elves send assassins after the king and his 2 sons, Ezran and Callum. These assassins are led by the elf Runan, who brings his goddaughter and now stepdaughter Rayla with him, whose parents recently just vanished. Rayla is sent after Ezran and Callum, but while chasing them, she discovers the egg of the Dragon Prince, not destroyed, sitting in the dungeon. Turns out, Viren wanted to use the egg for his own dark magic. So her, Ezran, and Callum start a journey to return the egg to Zadia and stop this cycle of revenge. If this at all sounds good to you, and if you like Avatar: The Last Airbender, go watch those first 3 seasons. They're well worth it. They have great characters and great world and a great story. But after those first 3 seasons, stop and come back here, because the seasons 4 through 7 are not worth the next 16 hours you will spend watching them. At the end of season 3, the crew kills Viren, who has been stalking them through Zadia, returns the Dragon Prince, now an actual baby dragon named Zim, to his mom. Rayla and Callum get together, and the relationships between the elves, dragons, and humans begin to heal. This sounds like an awesome place to end the show. So, where does it go from there? Thankfully, Wonderstorm provided us an outline for what the entire rest of the show is going to be. The next 3 seasons would be called The Mystery of Erebos, and be focused on Erebos, this evil elf who is pulling the strings on everything in the background the entire time. Then the 7th season would be its own thing to wrap up the entire series. So did Wonderstorm complete their vision, or did things go horribly wrong? I bet you can guess which one it is. Before we begin in full, I just wanted to say some season 1 through 3 spoilers I didn't want to say earlier, and that's that Viren has trapped Rayla's parents as well as Runan in these cursed coins. That's just important for later. As we get into talking about the 4 seasons I'm going to be talking about, I just wanted to say that each season is named after a specific type of magic that's found in the world, like in ATLA, but unlike in ATLA, where they actually go into the magic and how it works and everything in the season, that doesn't really happen in the Dragon Prince. It's just kind of the name. It's kind of there. The magic might show up for an episode or 2 and then not be there anymore. But I am going to be sectioning it off by the name of the season, so I just wanted to put that in there. Season 4 opens with the final scene of Season 3, showing that Viren's daughter Claudia has actually brought him back to life. The last time. There has been a 2-year time jump. What? And the entire plot of the episode is that Ezran wants to have the Dragon Queen over to Katalis for some big ceremony. But it feels like someone is missing. Rayla is just gone, and no one addresses this until the very end of the episode.
Because of Rayla.
To me, this will always just be the anniversary of the day she left.
Apparently, she has been gone this entire 2-year gap, and there's no real reason why. The characters don't know, they just know that, oh no, she's gone. While this is going down, Claudia introduces Viren to her new boyfriend named Terry, who is an elf. Dating someone whose entire thing is hating elves. Then Rayla comes back, and it's just never really explained fully why she's gone, but there is a reason. You want to know it? Well, you can't watch the show to find that. You have to read a graphic novel that they created, that they only advertised on their website or on their Instagram. Do you know how, crazy that is? Season 4 trailer got, 900,000 views, and the Instagram has, 100,000 followers, which means most people went into Season 4 not having read the book, where that explains why Rayla disappeared. It just doesn't make any sense. So anyway, the reason why she's gone is because she's got this feeling that Viren is still alive, and she doesn't want to get Callum involved because she doesn't want him to get hurt, so she goes off alone. And that makes sense, she didn't want to get Callum hurt, who saved her life multiple times in all 3 seasons leading up to this. The only thing that this whole Rayla thing caused is for her and Callum's relationship to go back to square one, because the writers couldn't think of any other thing to do with those characters, so they start their relationship over from the beginning. It's awesome. So, the spell Claudia used to resurrect Viren will only work for 30 days. The only person who can bring Viren back permanently is Erebos. So, Claudia and Viren need to free him. Then, Claudia cares this person and gets Viren's staff back. But before that elf dies, they're able to send a message to the main crew that Erebos is attempting to escape, with Viren and Claudia's help. Then Zubeia, the queen of the dragons, who did come for the ceremony, tells the crew Erebos' entire thing. Just all of it. He's a star-touched elf who came from the Evans long ago and basically just killed or manipulated everybody until the elves and dragons came together to seal him away in prison. This is the 4th episode, by the way. The 4th episode of the first of 4 seasons of this Mystery of Erebos arc. And the entire Mystery of Erebos is gone. Seriously, why even name the show Mystery of Erebos if the entire mystery is gone after 4 episodes? Instead of trying to, spread the story out over a slow burn over the 4 seasons as we slowly realize how evil Erebos is. But no, the actual thing is just tell it all at once, so there's no tension for the rest of the show. Zubeia flies the crew to the lair of the dragon Rex Igneous, because he's the only one who has the map to Erebos. They land at the entrance to Igneous' cave, and then spend the next 4 episodes trying to get into the cave, which this allows Claudia, Viren, and Terry to also get there. Hey, this is Future Noah here. So I found out that there is an official map of the Dragon Prince world, so it takes the same amount of time for our main characters to go from here to the Drakewood back to Umber Tor, as it does the bad guys going from the Stormspire all the way to Umber Tor. So once again, it takes the same amount of time to go here, 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 and then from here to there. Then Claudia gets there, and her and Terry get the map and then escape, leaving behind the coins Viren turned Rayla's parents into. And that's the season. This season is so bad, Google doesn't recognize it as an actual season. Seriously, how do you do a 2-year time jump where important things happen and then just not explain it? You can't expect your fans to go to an outside source to get information about this world. That should be for the die-hard fans who just want anything from this world. But there are so many casual fans who would be so confused by this season because of all of this crap that happens during the time jump that's just never explained. It's ridiculous, and it just ruins Rayla's character, because she doesn't see any problem with leaving for this full 2 years, leaving her boyfriend with not even a word. And when she gets back, she's upset that Callum is mad at her. And to be fair to Callum, this is exactly how he should act. I'm glad he acts like this, but it's just so infuriating because for the next 4 seasons, we slowly see the two go from enemies to friends to lovers, which is the exact same thing that happened in the first 3 seasons. It's annoying, and this kind of behavior is just what plagues the entire show from here on out. Now, you may have noticed that I actually left out an entire plotline of this season of the Sunfire Elves and their civil war. But this plotline is just so unnecessary and does just so little for the actual main plot of the show that I'm just skipping over it for now, and I'll talk about it in its own section later. So season 5 begins with the crew deciding that since there's no way they can find Erebos' prison, they need to figure out how to kill him instead. The only place they can find this information is in the library in the elf city of Luxaria that was destroyed in season 3 and is now overrun with monsters that can poison people with just one touch. Rayla, Callum, his Aunt Maya, and her wife Janai, queen of the Sunfire Elves, go to Luxaria. Callum finds a book that says a star-touched elf can be killed with a magical blade called the Nova Blade, which is at a place called the Star Scraper, which is the home to the Star Elves. It is also home to the magic object needed to bring Rayla's parents back from their coins. So, obviously, they decide to go there and get all that important stuff that they need, right? Right? No, that's incorrect. Instead, they decide to go find the elf who created Erebos' prison in the first place, and just hope that she knows where the prison is. Ezran knows where to find her because he talked to a dragon. Oh yeah. Ezran can talk to animals. How? That's a good question. Why? It's another very good question. Questions that are never answered. I usually just forget he can do this because it's just never important. But this time, it was, and so they go to her home. So they find the elf, and she does know where Erebos' prison is, and tells them where it is. And they head on their way, but they're captured by pirates. Callum has to use dark magic to save everybody, but he feels horrible about it, and vows never to use dark magic again. And I feel like this has happened before. Oh right, it has! In Season 2, the first time he used dark magic, and felt terrible about it, and then vowed never to do it again. Because, they can't think of anything new to do with Callum, so it's just reused plotlines the entire time. Speaking of Season 2, when Callum uses his dark magic, he actually goes into a coma then, fighting between the light and dark forces inside of him. Viren is actually going through this now. The fact that he died made him appreciate life just a little bit more, and now he can see what dark magic is doing to Claudia, slowly corrupting her. This realization causes Viren to slowly push dark magic away, causing him to go into the same type of coma Callum did in Season 2.
Hey, turn back!
Now, this is something I actually do really like about this show. I'm usually not a fan of redemption arcs. I think villains can just stay bad, but this one is really well done. We slowly see Viren's thought process as he goes through this immense change in his life. He started dark magic to help save his family and his 2 children, and now he is throwing away dark magic for this exact same reason. I really like this parallel, and it's one of the few things I think is done really, really well in this season. Anyway, the crew escapes the pirates and somehow manages to make it to the Sea of the Cast Out, where Erebos' prison is, at the exact same time as Claudia does, again. Hey, it's future Noah again. So it takes the villains the same amount of time to go from Umber Tor to the Sea of the Cast Out as it does for our heroes to go from Umber Tor back to Catalyst, all the way up to Luxaria, to the Storm Spire, to up here where the Archmage Akayu lives, to also up here where they get captured by pirates, sail all the way down here, defeat the pirates, and then end up at the Sea of the Cast Out. So once again, it takes the same amount of time to go from here to here as it does from here to all the way over there, to up here, to there, to here, and then to sail around to end up here. Just awesome writing. Our heroes beat Claudia to the prison, which is a big pearl, and run away. This is also the last day Viren has to live, though, and without Erebos to save him, he begins to die. And that's the end of the season. This season is definitely better than Season 4, but it still has a lot of the same problems. Like, it's too slow-paced, and it spends too long with plot lines that just don't end up mattering. So I'm excited to talk about this season because it is by far the best of the bunch. It's actually rewatchable. I would go back and rewatch this multiple times because it's fun. It gets rid of a lot of the problems that we will talk about as we go through it. The season opens with Viren alive, even though Erebos is not free. He wakes up and he's overjoyed to see that he's alive until he sees how. Claudia has cut off her leg and killed Sir Sparklepuff. Oh wait, you guys didn't know who Sir Sparklepuff was. He's just not important. He's like this bug thing that's part of Erebos' spirit that led them to the Sea of the Cast Out, even though they already had the map to the Sea of the Cast Out. He's just kind of around, and his name is not actually Sir Sparklepuff, but that's what Claudia calls him. Claudia has killed him, and Viren is horrified. He is so horrified, he actually leaves Claudia and abandons her for good to be a new person, not affected by dark magic. Back in Katalis, Ezran, Callum, and Rayla debate what to do with the Pearl of Erebos' prison. What they come up with is actually genius. So listen closely. They create a fake pearl out of sugar and display it for all to see. And then Rayla and Callum are going to take the real pearl to the Starscraper for safekeeping. The Starscraper they've never been to. That is insanely dangerous to get to. While they're there, they can also get the Nova Blade to protect them against Erebos and get the doohickeys that will bring Rayla's parents back from the coins. Callum and Rayla take the pearl there, repair their relationship finally, and help the Star-Touched Elves out. But the Star-Touched Elves don't have the Nova Blade because it went missing a long time ago. They sense that Callum has dark magic still in him, and so they do a ritual to purify the dark magic inside of him, and I feel like I'm having deja vu again. That is because I am. Because in Season 2, when Callum first uses dark magic, he goes into the coma, and it's kind of like a ritual that purifies him and gets rid of the dark magic inside of him. One of the Star-Touched Elves, Cosmo, can read the future, and he realizes that Callum actually brought the wrong pearl. He bought the fake sugar pearl to the Starscraper instead of the real one, because of course Callum did. Cosmo decides not to tell Callum this, though, because it would hurt his feelings too much. Rayla then gets the things to bring her parents and Runan back, so they go to do that. So you might be wondering what Ezran is up to. Turns out, nothing. He has gone off to join the Sunflower Elf plotline of nothingness. The only thing this plotline leads to is the dragon Sol Regum destroying the castle of Katalis. Viren, who has actually gone back to Katalis and is trying to make up with his other kid, Soren, since he was a terrible dad, sacrifices himself to take out the dragon.
I am a servant.
So this is the end of Viren's redemption arc, obviously, as he dies stopping the dragon. And once again, it's just so well done. The music is so good in this scene, and the cinematography and how the visuals look as he takes out this dragon are just jaw-droppingly gorgeous, and I love it so much. So while searching the ruins of the Castle Katalis for Viren, Claudia finds Erebos' prison and goes to free him. Oblivious to the fact that Erebos is about to come back, thanks Cosmo, Rayla and Callum go to the Moon Nexus, where the worlds of the living and the dead are at their closest. But the elf there confirms that only one of the diamond thingies that Rayla needs to free her parents and Runan are real, so she can only bring back one of the three. Rayla visits the spirits of her parents and Runan, and she realizes that her parents are at rest. They are together in the afterlife, and died doing something important, protecting the Dragon Prince's egg. Runan is not at peace. His husband is still alive, and he died killing Callum and Ezran's dad, which was not a worthy cause. Rayla realizes this, and saves Runan, letting her parents' souls go to rest. This is another thing I think is really well done this season. It is disappointing that we never get to see Rayla's parents and how they interact with Callum. I think that would be really fun. But we really, once again, see her thought process, and we see how much it's tearing her up. But in the end, she makes the choice that is correct. And she does finally get to say goodbye to her parents in the end. Then Claudia frees Erebos, and the season ends. Like I said before, this season is actually really good. Viren's redemption arc ends, and it's really well done, and the main plotline is actually really good too. For once, the show also explores the type of magic the season is named after, stars. Most of the time, the magic is just shown for an episode or two, but in this season, at the Starscraper, they actually learn a bit about how it works, and it's really cool. The third episode is called The Frozen Ship, and it's just a big analogy for Rayla and Callum's ship together, and how it isn't moving, and the showrunners acknowledge the fact that this ship is stuck, and while it is really funny, it just doesn't change the fact that it was stuck in one place for 3 seasons.
It's sad that this ship is stuck. I mean, look at it. This ship is going nowhere. Think about when this ship first became a thing. People were so excited about this ship. It was probably some people's favorite ship. They probably dreamed and imagined this ship would go amazing places. Exactly. It's not moving at all. I mean, you could sit here and draw pictures of the ship, but does that change anything? The frozen ship. So sad.
But this season is also Claudia's season, as she seems to finally descend into evil that she has been going towards all this time. But of course, that doesn't really stick with season 7. Uh-oh, you ran out of good forms of magic to use. Guess it's all evil now. So, both Callum and Ezran return to Catalis to find that it was destroyed by Sol Regum. Ezran is devastated because the entire kingdom is destroyed. Funny, I didn't realize that your fancy castle was so big, it covered your entire kingdom. So, yeah, this begins Ezran's arc of season 7 of kind of being a big baby. This entire season, he is moping and unreasonable because of this. Wonderstorm is trying to make us feel bad for Ezran, who is the most privileged kid ever because he has to move from his castle to his winter house. If his grief was more focused on those who died in the attack on Catalis, it would be different. But no, Ezran has Runan arrested for the murder of Ezran's dad back in season 1, which Runan did do. But once again, this is just not framed well. It's framed as if Ezran is just taking out his anger at the castle falling on Runan. If it was framed as Ezran, who is just a kid, still hurting over his father's death, it would be justified. But instead, it's not, and we just get annoying Ezran. Then, Rayla makes a stupid decision. Callum asks her to give him a few days to talk to Ezran and calm him down, but Rayla decides that a few days is too long and tries to bust Runan out of the dungeons now. She is caught, and it forces Callum to help her and Runan escape, which is directly against Ezran's orders, and this drives a wedge between the two brothers, and it just didn't need to happen if Rayla had just given Callum the time he asked for. So while this is all going on, Erebos, Claudia, and Terry are riding a carousel on their way to defile some graves. Erebos' plan is to bring the dead into the world of the living, creating chaos, which Claudia, in a sudden change of heart, is all for, and she even lies to Terry about it. When Terry finds out she lies, he finally breaks up with her and goes to tell Ezran about Erebos' plan, but Ezran is very busy ignoring the needs of his people to make bombs. I'm not joking.
Whoa! Shablow!
After some confusion, because Terry is such a useless character that nobody knows who he is.
Sorry. I don't know you.
You don't? Ezran finally knows Erebos is back, but Terry makes them all swear, magically, to not hurt Claudia, so they make a plan. They're going to use Claudia's long-lost mom to make her see sense when she goes to the Moon Nexus to complete Erebos' plan. Do they know where her long-lost mom is? Yes. Are they going to actually use her? No, of course not. Instead, they use a 15-year-old painting of her to create an illusion of her onto an elf. Claudia shows up to the Moon Nexus and immediately realizes it's not her mom because it's from a painting from 15 years ago, and she hasn't changed at all. So she stabs her fake mom in the back and completes the spell. Awesome plan, guys. The Dark Spirits, and only the Dark Spirits for some reason, rush into the world of the living. Meanwhile, Callum, Rayla, and Runan go back to Rayla's home, the Silver Grove. Runan is reunited with his husband Athari, and Rayla makes amends for the elves she left behind to die during the king's assassination attempt in Season 1. While there, Cosmo, the future Scene Elf's sister, Astrid, comes to let them know that Erebos is indeed back, because Callum accidentally brought the candy orb to the Starscraper. She just couldn't keep this secret for her brother any longer. So finally, more than halfway through the final season, all of the characters know Erebos is back. There is an actual really cool scene where Callum acts exactly like Cosmo predicted he would, but then it devolves into him struggling with dark magic yet again because it is an easy way for him to save everybody. Oh my god, can they really think of nothing else to do with Callum's character? This is the third time he has gone through the exact same dilemma. He cannot even use dark magic in the first place right now because Erebos has a spell on him that if he uses it, Erebos will be able to control him. So, like always, he rejects it. It's just, there is nothing else going on with Callum's character, who was such an awesome character in the first 3 seasons, and he has just evolved into this will they, won't they, with dark magic. Deep breaths. This is a kid's show. Calm down. Callum and Runan go to see the mage who created Erebos' first prison, hoping she can make another one, but they find out that Claudia killed her, so Callum comes up with another plan. After Erebos frees the spirits of the dead, he becomes huge, which was his true form all along. Ezrin is able to use his new bombs to capture him, but he has no way to kill Erebos. Erebos explains that the only 2 things that can do so are the Nova Blade or the bite of a dragon, but those only destroy his mortal form, and he will return to the stars from which he came, and when they align again, in 7 years, he will be able to come back. Then he frees himself and goes to destroy the sun, the only thing left that can stop the dark spirits. Ezrin then randomly finds the Nova Blade, which is just right there where he was, and him and Zim, the Dragon Prince, who has been there the whole time but is just such a useless character I have felt no need to mention him before, use what I can only assume is the power of gayness to magically transport himself to where Erebos is. Yup, that's never explained. There, Erebos has reanimated the corpse of the Dragon King, whose death started this whole thing, and he fights Zubeia, Rex Igneous, and this dragon. Callum gets to the fight with his new plan, which is to use, you guessed it, dark magic. He monologues the entire plan to Erebos while the dragon fight is going on, instead of just doing the plan, which, like, come on dude, it's like you're trying to lose. He is going to use dark magic to trap Erebos in a coin like Runan was, and then Runan is going to immediately kill Callum so Erebos can't take control of him. But Callum takes so long monologuing, Claudia gets there and starts to fight Runan, so Rayla takes his place to kill Callum. Oh my god, this is going to be so amazing. I take back everything I said about Callum struggling with dark magic. It's going to be epic. Rayla and him have to trust each other one final time, Callum to do the spell, and Rayla to then kill him. This is going to be such a tragic and epic way for the show to end. Oh my god, it's so exciting, I can't believe it. I also can't believe I fell for it. I can't believe that I thought Callum's struggle with dark magic wasn't going to be pointless. I thought he was going to do it one last time to save the world. But no, he's not. Zubeia convinces her husband's corpse to be good, and he tackles Erebos, which for some reason makes Callum go all elf from Stranger Things and faint. Then Ezrin arrives, just in time to do nothing, and Zubeia and the Dragon King bite Erebos, sending him back to the stars to return in 7 years, but killing themselves and all the other arch or king or queen dragons in the process. Erebos' final act is to make a portal for Claudia to escape through. So let's talk about that, because it makes no sense from any perspective. From a writing perspective, you would want Callum to kill Erebos, because now the show is ending with the threat of Erebos still there. Like, he's gonna return in 7 years. So instead of, like, actually defeating the bad guy at the end of the show, they just allow him to come back, and so our characters aren't safe, because now they have to fight him without the Archdragon's support, which were a big part of it. And from the dragon's point of view, from the point of view in the world, it doesn't make sense for the same reason, because instead of letting Callum, like, permanently get rid of Erebos in this coin, they just allow him to come back in 7 years. Everyone should be pissed off in the show by the dragons. Because that's... I can't even talk. This ending just doesn't make any sense, man. It's just dumb. Anyway, the show ends with the threat of Erebos still looming, though his arc is supposedly done. The two brothers make up for their fight. The show ends with one big reveal. Is this.
He turned to face me, and then...
What?
That's right. King Harrow is still alive. And I called this. I first watched this show back in 2019, and I thought about making a YouTube channel then just to put this video out there that Harrow was going to be still alive, because there's just a bunch of weird things that happen that makes it seem that way. So if you haven't watched the show and you're still with us this far, when Harrow's going to die, Viren knows this, and Viren goes to Harrow and he's like, yo, I have this spell that will switch our minds, so my mind will be in your body, and so when the elves come, I can use my dark magic knowledge to get rid of them. And Harrow says, no, I don't want any more dark magic. And Viren agrees to this, and then he, like, awkwardly, the scene ends. And we never see Harrow again. And after his death, Viren takes over, and he gets rid of all of Harrow's stuff, except for Harrow's pet bird. And he makes a point when he's about to get coordinated that he says to the bird, like, what, no song for me? And then later, they show the bird escaping. And, like, this is animation. Everything has a point. And so these two small things, all the way back in Season 1, made me think that Harrow was still going to be alive. But I was losing faith because it's been 7 seasons and there's just been nothing. But I was watching this with my sister, and I turned to her right before this happens. I'm like, watch, this thing that Ronan's about to say. He's like, actually, Harrow didn't have any final words because he squawked like a bird. And that's exactly what happens. And it's just a really funny thing that I wanted to mention as we come to a close on the summary of the show. Now, you might be wondering, why does this matter, Noah? Like, isn't the show over now? And we'll get to that in a second, because there might be a future for this show, though with every day it's looking less and less promising. But before I get to that, there are just some big overarching problems with all 4 seasons that I just wanted to talk about. I already complained about the time gap, but I just wanted to put this in again because it's so horrendous that the Mystery of Erebos already starts at this huge disadvantage because of the time jump that was just so poorly done. The first 3 seasons, you had at most 3 storylines. The main trio escorting the Dragon Prince to Zadia, which was 80% of the show. The other 20% was split between Viren doing evil things at the castle, and Claudia and Soren looking for the princes. All of these individual stories all moved the entire plot forward together. In Season 3, when Ezran leaves the group to go be the King of Katalis, they add another plotline, but they shrink Viren, Claudia, and Soren's involvement until Ezran rejoins the main group later. All plots work to move the story forward in their own way. In the Mystery of Erebos, the villains get a much larger screen time. Not only does the main plot have to share time with one villain plotline, a lot of times it's 2, as Claudia, Viren, and Erebos are often doing very different things even if they're traveling together. Their plotlines are just used as filler in an already filler-heavy show.
Follow my lead and waggle your tushy at him like this.
We don't need to spend the same amount of time watching Claudia have a panic attack as we do watching the main characters try to find a way to stop Erebos. Don't get me wrong, I'm a big advocate for mental health, but why do we only see mental health problems come from one of the villains? Why can't they show that good guys, to the little kids, that good guys can have these problems too? A lot of the time, Ezran isn't even with the main plot, but off on his own, doing his own thing that doesn't work to move the story forward. You could take him out of Season 6 and half of Season 7, and there would be no major changes to the plot. Then there's the Sunfire Elves plotline, which also adds literally nothing. Think about it. The only thing that comes of it is Sol Regum destroying Castle Katalis, but there's no casualties, and Ezran just moves to the house anyway. And you can't even say, oh, this makes him create those big bombs that help him defeat Erebos, because they don't actually help defeat Erebos in the end anyway. Could say that this storyline helps Ezran find the Nova Blade, but the Nova Blade does nothing in the end. Ezran arrives at the final battle to do nothing. Even in Season 7, the whole plot of the Sunflower Elves is that Queen Janai wants to kill her brother Kareem for trying to overthrow her, and Amaya not wanting her to, and to choose forgiveness. They do end up giving Kareem a second chance to help them stop Erebos from destroying the sun, but Kareem chooses to try and join Erebos instead, which leads Erebos to kill Cream so gruesomely, I don't think I can actually show it. Oh my gosh.
Together, Great One, we can...
Dragon Prince, do you want to be a kids show with fart jokes and flossing, or do you want to be a show for a more mature audience and kill characters in pretty gruesome ways? Because you can't have both. It's too jarring to flip between the two. You need to come to some middle ground or pick one of the two to stick with. Also, because Cream fails to stop Erebos and dies anyway, which is what Janai wanted to do to him in the first place, the entire plotline is once again useless, and if it was taken out, literally nothing in the show would change. And it also means that the moral of the story is that forgiveness is not the answer. You should kill those who wrong you because they're gonna die anyway. The third thing I think is the problem is that the show just doesn't take itself seriously anymore. The main characters constantly do just really dumb things, like walk into a very obvious mouth that they're told is a cave. The villains are also just played for laughs now. In the first 3 seasons, Viren is an actual terrifying villain. He was offset by Claudia, who, while working for Viren, wasn't completely evil yet and used as comic relief. In the Mystery of Erebos, Claudia has taken Viren's place as the evil sorcerer, but she's still used as comic relief. There is a line between making you feel for a villain and treating them like they are the hero instead, and the Dragon Prince just burns this line with fire with Claudia. The fourth and final problem that I have overarching the whole show is that the characters are just not as good. They're not as strongly written as they were before. I've already talked about how Callum's only struggle is dark magic, and Rayla thought nothing was wrong with leaving for 2 years, and how Ezrin just does nothing, but there are other characters I want to talk about too. Claudia is such an interesting character. For the first 3 seasons, we see her slowly descend into evil at the hand of her dad, egging her on. At the end of Season 3 and the beginning of Season 4, when she starts listening to Erebos and resurrecting Viren, it should have been the final nail in the coffin for her to descend into. It's not. Instead, to more of a comic relief character. Then, she just tries to destroy Rayla's parents' coins. Is this the catalyst for evil? No, she goes right back to being cute. In Season 5, she kills the Erebos bug thing and turns into an octopus. But that's not the line, as she once again goes back to being funny and cute. And then she actually just frees Erebos, but somehow that's still not enough. It's boring to watch a side plot for the stand-in main villain and watch her struggle and be funny and be nice, because it just means that she's not being painted as a villain. So if she isn't the villain, who is? Erebos? Because he has his own set of problems. Instead of the characters slowly learning about Erebos and how horrible he is over the course of the show, it's just all dumped on us at once in the 4th episode. But even after that, Erebos still manages to be this cold, calculated, very cool, evil villain until Claudia frees him. And then he goes to her school of being a goofy, silly little kid.
Oh no, are you okay?
Okay. I was confined to a tiny sphere in the mouth of a clam at the bottom of the sea for 3 long, lonely centuries. That was the most fun I've had in ages.
Another thing that the time skip never explains is Terry. Where does he come from? But seriously, how does he even fall in love with Claudia, who hates elves? And how does she love him back? She literally goes on a rant at one point about how elves are all evil and need to die, then turns around and starts being goofy and cuddly with Terry. And this is just, it's never pointed out by anybody. The last character I want to talk about is Amaya. Now, don't get me wrong, before you hate, I love Amaya, and I don't think there's anything wrong with her character. But I think there's something wrong with how the loved ones around her, especially Janai, treat her. Why does she still have a translator when she's talking to Janai? They're getting married. How does Janai not know sign language well enough to talk to her? I don't know. I don't know anything about sign language, but I do know that if I was in love and going to marry somebody who had to communicate with sign language, the first thing I would do is learn sign language so I can communicate one-to-one with my partner. It just feels like Janai doesn't listen to Amaya because of it. If the reason that Wonderstorm is deciding to use a translator is so they don't have to put subtitles on the screen. Why not? Why not put the subtitles there? We just had Shogun just came out last year and won all the awards, and most of it is in Japanese. Hell, even Monarch Legacy of Monsters has scenes in Japanese when it makes sense for it to be, like a conversation would be between two lovers who have to use sign language. Not only do Amaya's loved ones not seem to care enough to learn full sign language, we as the audience just miss out on stuff she says because sometimes it's just not directly translated, and I just feels that puts Amaya on a step down from all the other characters because we're not getting her full thoughts and feelings. Also, at one point in Season 7, Janai grabs Amaya's hands to stop her from talking, which from my understanding is very disrespectful, just to say the exact same thing that Amaya was going to say herself. What are we doing, Janai? What are we doing, Wonderstorm? Why do you want... this show is for kids. Why do you want to show that that is okay for kids to do to people who have to use sign language? Do not grab somebody's hands if they're signing. Just don't. I don't know. I don't know anyone who uses sign language. I don't use sign language. And I guess I'm glad that the representation is there. But when I compare it to another fantasy franchise that has a mute character in Hearthstone from Magnus Chase and the Gods of Asgard, I just feel like the representation in Dragon Prince is kind of half-assed with Amaya. Another small complaint I have that I don't think ruins the show for me, but I want to talk about it, is that the animation and character redesigns are just not great. Callum's redesign is horrible. He gets the Karen haircut, and his cloak just does not work well in animation, so he just always looks really stiff. Rayla's redesign is also really bad, but it goes further than just the aesthetics for her, because she has a lot of layers now and a cloak, which just doesn't work with the type of character and fighter Rayla is. She's quick and light-footed. She swings through the trees and dodges and weaves and wears others out instead of fighting them head-on. There is a potential future for the Dragon Prince. Do you remember at the beginning when I talked about the timeline that Wonderstorm had talked about for how the show was going to go? Because that wasn't exactly accurate. If you remember, it was 3 seasons for Mystery of Erebos and 1 season to wrap it all up. But somewhere along those lines, they realized that 3 seasons was just not going to be enough for the Mystery of Erebos, probably because it was just moving so frickin' slowly. And so they extended Mystery of Erebos into Season 7, and then extended the final season into another 3-season arc. But the problem with this is that Netflix only renewed the show through 7 seasons. And so, while the Wonderstorm is parading about saying, hey, there's another arc going on, we're going to do 3 more seasons, Netflix is saying, this is the final season of the show. Which is a big problem. Netflix might not renew the show for more seasons, and it's been now well over a month since the release, and there's been no word, which doesn't make me super confident. Editing Noah here again. We're going to stop on this beautiful screenshot of my face to say that editing takes a while when you're trying to teach yourself. So I'm recording this on March 19th, so it has officially been 3 months since the Dragon Prince Season 7 came out, and there has been no word on more seasons being made, so I'm going to guess that it's probably dead in the water at this point. But if they don't, there's a bunch of loose strings. Harrow is confirmed to still be alive, Claudia is still out there, and Erebos is going to return in 7 years. Which leads me to my problem if they do make more seasons. Because Wonderstorm has confirmed that if they do make more, there will be a 7 to 12 year time skip. And they couldn't pull off 2, so I can't imagine they can pull off a 7 to 12 year time skip, but this even has problems of its own. If they skip 7 years, they butt up right back to when Erebos returns. So are we just going to do the Mystery of Erebos over again for the next 3 seasons? Because they have a plan with the coin, but like, it would be boring to do 3 more seasons of Erebos after his arc ended, when Claudia is right there, poised to be the main villain of the last arc. But if they skip 12 seasons, they skip over Erebos coming back, which would just be jarring and weird since they left the opportunity for him to come back in the first place. Whatever path Wonderstorm takes, it's just going to be jarring. But besides Eren Ehaz going on a small Twitter tantrum, about people being upset with how season 7 ended, we just have no news for the Dragon Prince's future. And as of recording this, it's February 3rd, and the show came out December 17th, and there's just been no more word, which is just very concerning. Now, speaking of Ihaz, I want to say there's something I want to talk about with him, and this is very serious. For a second, we're gonna get serious, so I'm gonna read right from my script so I don't mess it up. There's no way that I could make this video and not talk about Eren Ihaz's controversy. In 2019, two women who used to work for Wonderstorm, the head of community development, Donkia Herod, and writer's assistant, Lulu Yonez, as well as one of Ihaz's former co-workers at Riot Games, Deandra Lestrado, they all accused him of sexism in the workplace on Twitter, saying that he mistreated them, used them as secretaries, and left them out of important conversations, as well as for queer-baiting characters, like Claudia. These are very serious accusations that Ihaz has, of course, denied. Very few articles were ever written about this, and there was no legal action ever taken, as far as I could tell, but still, the only reason that I feel comfortable still watching and talking about the Dragon Prince is because Herod said not to boycott the show and continue to talk about it because there are good people who work at Wonderstorm. I don't have anything else to add to that. That's not my place to say, but I just thought that I should bring that up and make people aware if they aren't, but just address it if you are and why I'm still supporting the Dragon Prince as a project. So I have nothing else to say about the Dragon Prince. Just overall, the plot is worse, the characters are worse, the animation is worse, and it's just there are just so many stupid things that happen in the Mystery of Erebos that I thought I should bring it up and I should talk about it in a video because I really love the Dragon Prince and I don't want to be this negative, and future videos that I make are not going to be this negative, but I love the Dragon Prince and I love the characters, and there's nothing I hate more than something not living up to potential, and I don't think the Dragon Prince lives up to his potential at all after those first 3 seasons. We did it. If anyone is still here, thank you so much. I am recording this after editing the entire thing, and a 50-minute plus video is probably not the best way to learn editing, but I did it. If the audio is terrible, I'm sorry. The microphone, I think I had it turned up too high, and I didn't really want to re-record the entire thing. So yeah, thank you so much. I had a script, I'm not using it. I am just winging this. My original plan was to release 3 videos all at the same time, try to get a jump start and everything, but yeah, I don't think that's gonna happen. If it's gonna take me a month and a half to make each video, I just want to get this one out there. So thank you once again. If anybody made it through this entire insanely long video, and like I said, I will try to make more upbeat, positive videos in the future. I want to talk about as many different fandoms as I possibly can, and highlight so many different small fandoms and universes and shows and books out there. If there's any suggestions, leave it down in the comments below. If you have any disagreements or agreements, I want to hear other people's point of view on the Dragon Prince Mystery of Erebos. I would love to talk to people in the comments if there's anybody there. And yeah, there will definitely be videos in the future, not about the Dragon Prince, but about different fandoms: Star Wars, Owl House, Marvel, Percy Jackson. I have a lot of ideas, and I can't wait to share it with the world. So thank you so much. Claudia is such an interesting character. For the first 3 seasons, we see her slowly descend into evil at the hand of her dad egging her on. At the end of season 3 and the beginning of season 4, when she starts listening to Erebos and resurrects Viren, it should have been the final nail in the coffin for her to descend into evil, but it's not. How long has it been off behind me? I'm not refilming this. Hopefully it just went off. God damn it. Don't you dare judge me for using the actual show as my background, okay? I only have one computer and it's in front of me.